Hello, welcome to News Now on TV360. I'm Thelma Okoro. Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari has presented the 2017 budget to the National Assembly. The 7 trillion naira budget set a benchmark of $42.5 per barrel for oil, as against $38 per barrel in 2016, and has 305 naira per dollar as against 197 naira to the greenback budgeted in 2016. The budget, which is 20.4% bigger than the 2016 budget, has earmarked 30.7% for capital expenditure to pull the country out of recession. Again, the Ministry of Power Works and Housing has the lion's share of the budget at 520 billion naira for capital projects.
2017 budget. Government's priorities in 2017 will be a continuation of our 2016 plans, but adjusted to reflect new additions made in the economic recovery and growth plan. In order to restore growth, a key objective of the federal government will be to bring about stability and greater coherence between monetary, fiscal, and trade policies while guaranteeing security for all. The effort to diversify the economy and create jobs will continue with emphasis on agriculture, manufacturing, solid minerals, and services. Mid and downstream oil and gas sectors are also key priority areas. We will prioritize investment in human capital development, especially in education and health, as well as wider social inclusion through job creation, public works, and social investment. Aggregate revenue available to fund the federal budget is 4.94 trillion naira. This is 28% higher than 2016 full year projection. Oil is projected to contribute 1.985 trillion naira of this amount. Non-oil revenues are estimated to contribute 1.73 trillion naira. We have set a more realistic projection of 807 billion naira for independent revenues, while we have projected receipts of 565.1 billion naira from various recoveries. Other revenue sources, including mining, amount to 210.9 billion naira. With regards to expenditure, we have proposed a budget size of 7.298 trillion naira, which is a nominal 20.4% increase over 2016 estimates. 30.7% of this expenditure will be capital, in line with our determination to relate and pull the economy out of recession as quickly as possible. We have increased the budgetary allocation to the judiciary from 70 billion naira to 100 billion naira. 482.37 billion for the Ministry of Interior. B. 398.01 billion naira for Ministry of Education. C. 325.87 billion naira for Ministry of Defense. And D. 252.87 billion naira for Ministry of Health.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Budget and National Planning, Udoma says the federal government intends to spend 10 trillion naira and will issue new oil licenses as part of efforts to fund the 2017 budget. Udoma made this known when he appeared before the Senate Joint Committee on Appropriation and Finance to defend the revised medium-term expenditure framework and the fiscal strategy paper. He said that the federal government would also review the current joint venture agreements with oil companies, marginal oil fields, as well as mount pressure on revenue-generating agencies to surpass expected targets. Udoma said a total of 10 trillion naira was being targeted by the federal government as revenue for the 2017 fiscal year. Chief of Staff to President Muhammad Buhari Abakari has assured the Super Falcons of Nigeria that their outstanding payments will be made on Friday. The champions who defeated Cameroon to clinch the African Women Cup of Nations title held a protest at the National Assembly on Wednesday morning to demand their unpaid bonuses and allowances. Now, before their victory at the tournament, NFF had promised to pay the Falcons some entitlements if they cleaned the title of AFCON 2016 winners. However, after their victory, Niger Sports Minister Solomon Dalong admitted that the ministry made no provisions to pay the Falcons any entitlements. This statement drew the ire of many Nigerians who described the minister's statement as insensitive and disrespectful. The outstanding allowances reportedly amounts to $16,500 and out of that payment, only $1,900 has been paid to the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Nigeria's government has found unrecorded debts of 2.2 trillion naira left over from the previous administration, which turned up after an audit aimed at improving transparency in the country. The debts were owed to contractors, oil marketers, exporters, and electricity distribution companies. This is according to Finance Minister Kemi Adeosun. The debts amount to 2.3% of Nigeria's gross domestic product. The Nigerian Senate has demanded the resignation of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachirula, for his role in the alleged diversion of funds and materials meant for internally displaced persons in the northeast part of the country. The Senate's resolution follows the submission of the report of the committee set up to investigate the alleged diversion of funds. The Senate accused the SGF of owning one of the companies awarded contracts in the rehabilitation of the Northeast. It says Lawal resigned as a director in September 2016, but is still a signatory to the company's account and as a result is demanding his immediate resignation and prosecution. Nigeria's House of Representatives has opened an investigation into an offshore oil field owned by Royal Dutch Shell and ENI. This is the latest inquiry into the acquisition of the OPL 245 license block, which would hold up to 9.23 billion barrels of oil, according to industry data. Earlier this year, the Dutch and Italian authorities launched their own separate investigations. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, has described the acquisition as, quote, a breach of due process that resulted in monumental revenue loss to the country. The police in Abuja have told members of the Shiite Islamic Movement of Nigeria not to protest in the Federal Capital Territory. The FCT command of the police force gave the warning through a statement released by spokesman Manza Agujuri on Wednesday, December 14th. He says the actions of the group are deemed illegal. According to him, the group have neither written to notify the command of their planned action, nor have they secured any approval from the Commissioner of Police to go on with their planned strike action. Ibrahim Idris, the Inspector General of Nigeria's police force, has promised to check extrajudicial killings by police personnel in the country. Ibrahim made the promise when the Association of Ezindigbo paid him a courtesy visit at the police headquarters. He urged members of the association to continue to give support to the police in their various communities for better service delivery. Idris noted that no police official all over the world can succeed without partnership with members of the community. A federal high court sitting in Ado-Ekiti has ordered the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to unfreeze Governor Ayodele Fayoshe's account with Zenith Bank. In his ruling, the judge, Justice Taiwo, said that the EFCC did not follow the laid-down regulations in ordering the bank to freeze his accounts. The court also set aside an earlier order of a federal high court in Lagos, empowering the EFCC to freeze 2 accounts domiciled in the New Generation Bank. A federal high court of the Federal Capital Territory in Maitama, Abuja, on Tuesday adjourned till January 18, 2017, the trial of a judge of the Federal High Court in Abuja, which is Justice Adeniyi Ademola and his wife, Olabowale, following the requests by the defendant's lawyers, Dr. Onyechi Ikpeazu, representing Justice Ademola, and Robert Clark, representing the wife. The trial judge ordered the prosecution to serve the defendant's statements on defense lawyers before the next hearing date. The defense lawyers had moved their client's bail application after the defendants pleaded not guilty to the 11 counts charge preferred against them on Tuesday.
Not in my country.
Hello, Alahaji. Right now I'm in Abuja. No. Hello, Adamu. Right now I'm in Kano. Yes. When I get back, I'll just call you. Look, what is wrong with you? I'm talking on the phone and you are gesticulating and doing. What's wrong with you?
Daddy, where exactly are we as we speak?
Are you alright? This is Lagos.
Well, you just lied to someone that we're in Abuja.
Keep quiet. Who told you you can tell an elderly person is lying?
Daddy, you just lied. And by lying, you're raising corrupt children for the future of Nigeria. That is corruption, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. Umar Dambata, the Executive Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, says the body has contributed over 1.4 trillion naira to the country's gross domestic product in the third quarter of 2016. He was speaking while briefing the Senate Committee on Communications on an oversight visit to the Commission in Abuja, the nation's capital. He said that the contributions to the GDP in the last 3 years is well above 1.4 trillion naira per quarter, adding that it had ranged between 7 to close to 10% in different times. Oil prices fell on Wednesday following a reported rise in U.S. crude inventories and as OPEC signaled a growing crude surplus this year. International Brent crude futures were down 82 cents at $54.90 per barrel, while U.S. crude futures were down 92 cents at $52.06 per barrel. OPEC on Wednesday signaled a growing oil supply surplus next year unless members implement their deal to curb output from record levels and outside producers also deliver on cutback pledges made at the weekend. In a monthly report, OPEC said that without cuts, the 2017 overhang would reach 1.24 million barrels per day, about 300,000 million barrels per day than the forecast in its previous report. Gambia's President Yahya Jammeh's ruling party has challenged his defeat in a December 1st election at the Supreme Court. This comes as West African leaders sent as mediators failed to reach a deal that would see him accept the result and end a deepening crisis in the country. Soldiers also seized the headquarters of the National Elections Commission and sealed it off just hours before the mediation delegation representing ECOWAS touched down in the country. Jammeh, who has ruled Gambia since taking power in a 1994 coup and is accused of widespread rights abuse, initially conceded defeat to his main challenger, Adama Barrow, but in a dramatic turnaround that drew international condemnation. He then rejected the poll results last Friday. The head of a United Nations Human Rights Commission says the international community can stop a Rwanda-like genocide in South Sudan if it immediately deploys a 4,000-strong protection force and sets up a court to prosecute atrocities. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Zaid Rad Al Hussein said the African Union must quickly set up the court with a strong focus on command responsibility for atrocities. Political rivalry between South Sudan's President Salva Kiir and his former deputy Riek Machar led to civil war in 2013 that has often followed ethnic lines. The pair signed a shaky peace deal just last year, but fighting has continued and Machar fled the country in July this year. Gabon insists it is ready to host the African Cup of Nations despite concerns about the state of preparations amid political instability just 1 month ahead of the opening ceremony. The tournament is due to run from January 14th to February 5th next year, but was thrown into doubt after violence broke out following President Ali Bongo's controversial re-election in August this year. Last month, CAF said it had no plans to switch the event from Gabon and named hosts after Libya, were stripped of its rights in the wake of violence and instability breaking out in the North African country following the overthrow of Muammar Gaddafi. The Russian city of Sochi will not host the 2017 Bobsleigh and Skeleton World Championships. The International Bobsleigh and Skeleton Federation said it would not be prudent to host the championships in Russia, a country accused of state-sponsored doping. A report on the December 9th claimed that more than 1,000 Russians benefited from a doping cover-up between 2011 and 2015. A new host city will be named for February event in the forthcoming days. Well, that's all we have at this hour. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Thelma Okoro.